We have news from the NHL waiver wire, a signing, and a positive update for the Buffalo Sabres. We'll discuss the latest coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we have a little bit of news to talk about here today. We will be back later with another video as well. But for now, we had some news from the NHL waiver wire that I wanted to discuss. First up, we have Ottawa Senators defenseman Christian Wolanin has cleared waivers as of noon Eastern today. We found out yesterday that he was being placed on waivers, but the 26-year-old was not claimed. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought, given the fact that he has a contract under $1 million, he's still relatively young and still looking for more of an NHL opportunity, that somebody might take him, especially one of the Canadian teams where they could likely get him to the new team without having to quarantine, but that wasn't done. Obviously, Wolanin will remain with the Sens. He has been placed on the taxi squad. I would not rule out the possibility of a trade taking place. I know sometimes people ask, well, why would a team trade for him if they could have had him on waivers for nothing? And sometimes due to either salary cap or the number of contracts they have on the book, sometimes they have to move out something to make it work. So maybe we'll see Wolanin swapped with another younger player in another organization to get them both a fresh start. Hard to say, but it does look as though Wolanin's time in Ottawa might be coming to an end. He also does need, I can't remember how many games he has left, but he does need to get to a certain number of games played this season, which is going to be tricky to do, or he will become a Group 6 UFA at the end of the year. So any team acquiring him would have to play him a lot to have any chance on him being an RFA at the end of the year to still be a controllable asset. So that could certainly factor into to their decision as well. But Wolanin has cleared for now and for at least the time being a member of the Senators. Now, the Florida Panthers have placed veteran defenseman Anton Stralman on waivers. So obviously Stralman is in the second year of a 3-year contract, making $5.5 million, 34 years old. Certainly the Panthers are not messing around this year. They're really trying to get themselves better prepared for the playoffs, trying to do some damage. They're having a pretty good regular season here so far. I think it's fair to say with Stralman that he's ideally a third pair defenseman. He can give you some offense, decent puck mover, but for the last few years, it's also fair to say that he's certainly struggled on the defensive side of the puck in his own end, and it's just not as defensively sound as he once was earlier in his career. So obviously the management and coaching staff there in Florida just don't have as much of an opportunity for him right now, so they're probably regretting that contract. But given the fact he still has one more year at $5.5 million, highly doubtful that anybody puts in a claim on Stralman. There probably are teams out there that would probably consider taking him for the right price, but that's not the right price. So he likely clears. They put him on the taxi squad, and we move on from there. Maybe they consider trying to trade him, like I mentioned about Wolanin, but they'd have to retain salary. Gets a little bit messy. Pretty unlikely that Stralman really goes anywhere. In both of their cases, it's also an opportunity for the team to kind of send a message and kind of give them a wake-up call that they need to work on their game if they're going to continue to be a regular or have a shot at being a regular, at least at the NHL level. So I guess we'll see where things go. We'll find out on noon Eastern tomorrow if Stralman's still a member of the Florida Panthers, but I'll be pretty surprised if he isn't. Now, as I mentioned, we do have a bit of a positive news for the Buffalo Sabres. It's not great news by any means, but everything we talk about Buffalo has always been bad lately. But we know that their coaching staff, including interim head coach Don Granato and assistant Matt Ellis, had to go into COVID protocol. They have been cleared from that. So obviously, they obviously didn't test positive. Otherwise, they'd be in there much longer. So the fact here that they're going to get their coaching staff back is, I think, pretty good. I mean, we had GM Kevin Adams behind the bench in a recent game. They've been struggling here. I mean, we saw before Ralph Kruger was fired earlier in the early part of the season, he had tested positive for COVID. So the Sabres have really had a rough go, as I mentioned on Twitter earlier today. They're having a really bad season, as everybody knows. But the one quick tidbit I didn't realize until looking through the stats and seeing it posted on social media, they've actually been shut out more times than they've won this year. They've been shut out by their opposition 7 times, and they only have 6 wins. That's pretty crazy. And you have Jack Eichel, Jeff Skinner, and Taylor Hall have combined for 7 goals. That's ridiculous when you think about it. I know Eichel's been hurt now for a little bit, but still, That's a lot of games played for 7 goals for that amount of money and that amount of talent that they, we've seen them have in the past. So clearly, something's got to give in Buffalo. They really need to revamp a lot of things, and we'll see here. But at least there's some small piece of good news to get their coaching staff back to see if they can, get some positives out of the season before it's over. At this rate, they're highly likely to be last place, have a real good shot at getting the first overall, or at least the top 3 pick in the NHL draft. So hopefully they can get a good player out of that works well for them for the future. We'll see what happens. Now, we also have a signing to discuss today. We have a signing here from the New Jersey Devils, who have signed a 22-year-old Finnish prospect Arni Talviti, who has been playing college hockey for Penn State University. He was originally a 6th-round pick back in 2017. Had been playing there for the past 3 years, so he jumps out of college hockey, and he's 22 now, as I mentioned, so he gets a 2-year entry-level contract. So he'll turn pro. He's a center iceman. Didn't really put up big numbers at that level, but it's a whole different league, so you can't really judge too much based on that. He'll certainly need some time to go to the American Hockey League and see how he can try his best to fit in with a job at the NHL level sometime in the next couple of years. But Talviti gets signed his ELC by the Devils. So that is all your news here for now. As I mentioned, we'll be back with another video later today discussing some additional information and some trade rumors, so stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. Keep you up to date with all the news from the entire NHL. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.